Hello everyone, I'm Profi1322 and this video is going to show the fastest fully upgraded vehicles from the GTA Online contract DLC in terms of lap time. As always, the position counter is in the top left with the best lap time the vehicle achieved in the top right, and since there are cars from a number of classes here, the positions within their own classes are also listed in the top left. This video lists all vehicles added on day 1 of the contract DLC, for any drip feed cars added after that, other classes of cars because I've tested them all, and all the information you need about this series. Check the playlist linked in the second line of the description, and feel free to check out my Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want to support this work and get testing results of any new cars a little bit early. So just like with the tuners, all of the cars here need the lowest suspension options since they give a small increase in traction, alongside the usual spoiler, brakes, engine, transmission and turbo upgrades for maximum performance. We saw the Deity first of all in 7th place. It's not a bad car to drive, it's just not that quick. It's a little bit slower than the old original Shafter. And then we had the Jubilee in 6th place, which is another fun car to drive, but it's in a bit of a no man's land in the SUVs class between the old top SUVs and the new breed. The Astron in 5th place is one of those cars that puts itself into that new breed of top SUVs and probably is the nicest to drive out of the Toros, Novak and Rebel GTS that also make up the top SUVs. It is slower than the Toros, but it's a lot more consistent since with the Toros you have to deal with the bouncy advanced handling flags giving a pretty awful driving experience, so the Astron could be competitive with the Toros depending on the track. Now we've got the Cinquemila in 4th place, and this is the new fastest sedan in the game, but only just. It's only by 0.2 of a second over the Shafter V12, and it can be an interesting driving experience. It's not the best over the bumps, and I think depending on the track, sometimes the V12 will be the best, sometimes the Cinquemila will, but in general they're pretty close, as we'll see on the comparison towards the end of the video. And it's a very capable car for the sedans class right at the very top. We'll have to see how it does for top speed in comparison to the V12, which has a very high top speed. But yeah, another competitive car at the top of sedans to go along with the tailgate arrest that we got in the Tuners DLC. Now in 3rd place we've got the Champion, and it's pretty much the champion of nothing. It really suffers from a pretty bad top speed. We'll obviously see the actual top speed from it from the top speed testing video tomorrow, but it's especially bad for the Supers class. You know that the Champion is in the Supers class and its lap time of 1 minute 4.6 is only good enough for 43rd place in Supers, and considering it's the new most expensive regular supercar in the game, this really is the new Lynx, an overpriced car that's absolutely terrible for performance within its class. Use it for its features and stay away from it in races, it won't do you any favours. It's pretty bad over bumps as well. Now in 2nd place we've got a muscle car. So yes, a muscle car beats a supercar, and if that doesn't tell you anything about the speed of the Buffalo STX and the fact that it's absolutely destroyed the muscle class, I don't know what else to say. When the Dominator GTX was added to the game, I said that that was basically a sports car added to the muscle class, such was its level of grip in the corners. The problem with the Dominator GTX though was that it had a terrible top speed, so it wasn't too much of an issue overall. But the new Buffalo STX is basically a Dominator GTX with a decent top speed, and it completely decimates the muscle class. That lap time is crazy. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the comparison in a little while, but ultimately the fastest car from the contract DLC, at least in terms of the initial release of cars, is the Ignus. What the Thrax is to the Nero, the Ignus is to the Tempesta. It's all-wheel drive, it doesn't have any downforce, so it's basically a classic handling mechanics car, utilising the spoiler and just pure grip for its lap time. And the lack of downforce, really it stops it from getting the absolute best times that it could to compete with the Krieger and the Emirates at the very top of the Supers class. But nevertheless, it's good enough for 6th place. It just misses out on the top 5 in a fairly sizable Supers class now. A 59.6 second lap time is very, very respectable for the Supercars class these days. And yeah, it's just a very solid, good driving experience, a good car, a quick car. And it's, like I say, it's not going to be quite on the pace of the Emirates and the Krieger at the top of supercars, but it certainly could be used, and it's a good A-tier supercar to add to the growing list there as well. So very nice car, the Ignus. Now as we see some comparisons between some of the cars we've seen in this video, I think it makes sense to talk a little bit more about the Buffalo STX, because That lap time of a 103.4 is actually the same sort of lap time that you see from Feltzers, Massacros, Jesters, staples of the sport class, and the Buffalo STX gets the same sort of lap times as them, and it's in the muscle class. It's just unbelievable how much quicker the Buffalo STX is in the muscle class over everything else. You can even see on the comparison, it's over 2 seconds per lap quicker than the Dominator ASP, which only just became the best muscle car in the Tuners DOC, and that is without retesting the Dominator ASP after the tuners got nerfed. So the Dominator ASP is probably going to be even slower than that, so the gap between the top and the second place is going to be even bigger. If you haven't heard about that, the tuners have all been nerfed. I will cover it in a future video, but yeah, they're all slower than they previously were. So it's just unbelievable, you know, even the regular Buffalo variants, the regular Buffalo, the Buffalo S, the Sprunk Buffalo, all of the Buffaloes are in the sport class. But as soon as one actually performs pretty well, Rockstar put it in the muscle class and make it the only vehicle you ever need for muscle car races. You know, it's a great car, it's lovely to drive, it's got some great speed, but it's got an awful class allocation, as is pretty much par for the course for Rockstar, let's be honest. It's just such a shame, because it would have been great to be able to use the Buffalo STX alongside the other cars that are on the same sort of pace as it, like Feltzers, Massacros, Jesters, all of them racing together alongside the Buffalo STX. It would have added another car in that, you know, pretty decent tier of sports cars, but instead it's in the muscle class and it just absolutely demolishes everything. In comparison to that, we've got the Cinque Mille here not demolishing the sedans class. You know, you can see in the comparison they're pretty evenly matched. In some areas of the lap the Shafter V12 is faster, in some areas the Cinque Mille is faster, so it's really good that we've got this balance at the top of sedans. Obviously the Tailgater S is just behind these two in third place, and that is more depending on the tracks. You need a lot more corners for the Tailgater S to sort of really come into its own and actually be competitive. But at least we've got a bit of balance at the top of sedans, and it's not just the Shafter V12 all the time. The Cinque Mille is sort of giving us an extra option there, and it's not doing what the Buffalo has done. It's not completely demolishing the class so you can only ever use the Cinque Mille. It's just giving another option, so that's perfect. And in the final comparison, I mean, what is there to say really between the Ignus and the Champion? The Champion is, you know, the fact that the Champion is in the Supers class and it's slower than the Buffalo, which is in the Muscle class, it gives you everything there is to know about it. 5 seconds, just over 5 seconds per lap, slower the Champion than the Ignus. And the Ignus isn't even the fastest supercar in the game. So, you know, a 104.6 is, it's not even a good sports car lap time now. Hell, it's not even a good muscle car lap time, as you've just seen. So, yeah, the Champion, you know, the reason it's probably so expensive is because it has all of these extra upgrades, the Amani tech stuff where you can put missile jamming and all that kind of stuff on it. But from a performance perspective, it's just, you want to stay away from it, at least for races. So remember, the top speed testing video for all of these cars will be coming tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And then obviously whenever all the DLC drip feed cars are released every Thursday, I'll be testing those on the day that they're released as well, and I've already done a video showcasing what those cars will be. So yeah, for this one, that's pretty much it. Consider supporting on Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want testing results early. And remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed it, found it helpful, and subscribe for more. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.